They're gonna let you get your voice out. Comment
Nah,
that. I will put you in the comments.
Yes,
Please.
even my
Please.
co-host is on mute. Hold on, everybody. You know we don't do this over here. Y'all will make my nerves bad, and I am the quickest person to end a live, okay? I will. Now, I think Coco Ma, you don't know Hellkit. Hellkit does not know you. I understand how that sounded because I paused for a second. So I do understand that all I ask is that we at least try to be as respectful as possible. Let's not make assumptions and let's not take it personally, please. We can still hear each other out.
There was a flag on the play theory. That's all I want to say.
All right.
I understand.
I charge. When it gets ignorant, I expect 50 cents per person. All right.
All right. There was a flag on the play. Hellkit. I heard it. I caught it. I'm pretty sure you caught it.
If you don't mute up and let Theory speak to the women, charge you $1. Send Theory 100 hand hearts.
Thank you. And thank you all for the gifts. Thank you so much. See, and Hellkit is fine. She is not upset. So please don't think that she's being aggressive.
Over stuff like this. Look, I don't. What I was trying to point out is because everybody was coming in the panel talking about us going out and fighting for a group, and I never said that. I was coming from a different angle. I shouldn't have said level, a different angle than everybody else that was in the panel. I never meant or said anything about protesting. I'm not out there protesting. I protested for George Floyd and us. So I'm definitely not telling people to go out there and protest for them. I'm just trying to get people to see the parallels of what is happening. So we don't get too high and mighty or whatever about what we're talking about. And when I was speaking about the border and speaking to my representative, it's because my representative had concerns about me crossing the border when all of this stuff and the things that are happening now are going on.
All right, so let me say this, Hellkit.
Yeah, my tone may have been a little condescending purposely, but it wasn't coming from that point.
All right, so being purposeful in the condescending tone will absolutely trigger someone else. And then we lose the point of the conversation. It no longer becomes productive. It becomes personal. And you already know when those conversations go there, it's not even worth continuing the dialogue. So thank you for acknowledging that. Again, I think when you stated your level and the way you were thinking as if others were not on that level and were not processing it in the same way that you are, and please stop hitting that keyboard, then I think that is probably where the trigger came from. Am I right in saying that, Coco Ma? Any other thoughts? And I am taking Hellkit's keyboard because she is wearing this comment section out and we hear it.
I miss Hellkit.
Right. You know she can't help it. She can't help it. Go ahead, Coco Ma. Any other thoughts?
I think it's bullshit. Because
can you specifically say
our black communities need us on a community level and they need us on a home level. And if we were to take that as serious as we take international and national issues, we will be better as a community. As I stated, my representatives contact me because I have several organizations and I have respectfully turned them down. And I'm going to continue to turn them down. Right now, we gearing up for back to school. Right now, we have some issues with some black mothers that are being targeted with their kids being taken here in the community for things that it's a lot going on. So by the time we sweep around our own doorstep, by the time we advocate for those who do not have a voice in our own communities and handle our own households, no, we do not have time to help a community that has their own issues with us and internally. So no, I'm not talking to my representatives about another community other than a black one.
All right. Thank you, Coco Ma. Pause Hellkit before you say anything. Welcome Jordan's mom and Navi. Any thoughts from either of you?
Navi can go first.
Same thing, Jordan. Thank you, Jordan. There's something that a boss man said in regards to, and right now with everything that's said, it kind of flew over my head. But in the area that I live in, because I'm in California, and I'm indigenous, raised Mexican. So actually, first off, the one thing I want to touch on was something Mike had stated. He said the Mexican friend that he had said he's a citizen, right? Well, technically, he's not Mexican. If you're a citizen of the United States, you are not Mexican unless you were born in Mexico. Mexican is a nationality. It is not a race. When I say I'm indigenous, raised Mexican, it's because it is the culture. So in California, Monterey County, if you look it up, a lot of agriculture comes from here. A lot of it, including, you probably find it in your stores. It comes from this area. And I can tell you that when Mike said that, it kind of made me laugh. And the reality is, if you can repeat this, you can tell him I said he is a pinche idiota. And the reason I say that is because even if we are born here, I am at risk of being deported. Absolutely, 100%. Why? Because of what I look like and how they're doing it. And if you are well versed in history, you would have known that this is not the first time they have rounded up our people to kick them back because of quote unquote jobs. This is not the first time. They've taken people regardless of their citizenship and shipped them on back to a country that more than likely may have not even have been theirs. So even I am at risk. So I am keeping my passport on me, and I'm also keeping my birth certificate on me because I know better. I'm not stupid. I know better. Now, for myself, will I be out there protesting? Absolutely not, because I know a lot of them either didn't vote or voted for this man. That I will give you. But a lot of them that voted for this man are also Christian based because they believe in the conservative beliefs that they have, which tend to line up with Christianity. So that is also part of their problem because that's what they believe in. They're not believing in what our traditions are or anything like that. A lot of them are lost when it comes to that. But what I will say is that no, not a lot of us are. For me, I'm helping people in a different way, and I'll just leave it there. But there was something you said, Bossman, like I said, I can't remember, but there used to be commercials in our community that were made about farm workers, and all of the farm workers look like me, brown skin with almond eyes. We have Hispanics, Latinos that are blonde, green-eyed, red hair that can't speak a lick of English. They weren't on those commercials at all, picking strawberries, lettuce, or none of that. Although you will see them in person, but in those commercials, you did not see them. Now, if you ever look at novelas, you will see them there, but you will not see them in commercials regarding field work. Now, like I said, like if you're there in person, you will see every color out in the field, but in those commercials, you're not going to see them. So even in Latino/Hispanic communities, which is all the way into the Caribbean, that's what you're going to see. Because again, like in the US, white tea skin will always be admired versus darker skin. So I'll go on mute.
Yep. The colonial mindset. That's what I was trying to say. They come into America with the same mindset. The only difference is they speak a different language.
Respectfully, thank you. You're fine, sir. Thank you. Good afternoon, ladies.
Good afternoon.
Hey, Theory, it's so nice to see you.
You as
Listen,
well.
I want to preface my remarks by saying it is never, ever my intent to offend anybody. This is just simply a discussion where people are being candid and honest about the things that lie on their chest. Every conversation that I have in this moment is from the perspective of a Black woman. So if that is offensive to somebody, I apologize in advance. I've heard several things. Somebody said that multiple things can be true. That is the mantra that I live by. A lot of disagreements are unnecessary because multiple things can be true in the same moment. Everything that we have put on the table can be true. But let me tell all of you what is also true, because we don't all live in the same places. What I know to be true is from my experience. I work in healthcare, and I can say to you that I cannot count the number of times that people who don't look like us People who have accents triangulate to get closer to the Pale of People, and they use us to do so. We become the object, you know, of their ridicule. We become the object of their jokes. You know, we become the people that they want our knowledge. They want our position. And they do so by triangulating between us and the enemy. It is a fact. That's what happens in the workplace. That's what happens in the military and all these places. A lot of times, these are not the stories that are comfortable to tell out in the open. So maybe a lot of people are not aware. That's why what Theory is doing and having this space where we can all be honest, it's a way for us to share information and to be able to see somebody else's perspective. I can say to all of you, there is not a day, there does not exist a moment when I will put myself on the line for people who have not put themselves on the line for me. I worked, I do work, I will work, I have worked in the democratic process. And I took a week off after the election. I had put in for that week prior to. Let me explain to you why. Because in my efforts to be a good citizen and to preserve the democratic process, I noticed some things. I noticed that very few of the people doing the work looked like me. I noticed that even the people that I worked shoulder to shoulder with looked down on me. They wanted my knowledge, they wanted my experience, they wanted the benefit of my presence, but they really didn't want me there. These are hard lessons to acknowledge, but these are the things that I acknowledge. I will tell you all this as well. Somebody said, I think it was Coco or QL. If I misquote you, I apologize. One of them said that we failed ourselves as well, because by and large, whatever the outcome of the election was,
Clock in.
it could have been. I'm sorry.
Say clock in. You on point.
She was.
Hold on. I get lost easy. So let me see if I can just get this out. We failed ourselves to a great degree, because whatever the results of the election were, much of those results could have been changed if the people who sat on the couch had gotten up and went to the polls. We did ourselves a disservice. That's the part we don't say out loud either. We don't care about the process as much as we should, but the results affect our community before they affect nearly anybody else. There are some hard truths that you have to tell yourself in order to fix what is broken. That's one of the hard truths. I also think that somebody said it earlier, that you do have to be involved in your local processes so that you can understand who these people are. Because what you have is, as somebody else said earlier, pretenders, people who play the long game, people that will take a seat as a mayor, because most mayors are non-partisan. But they'll take a position as a mayor in a Democratic place. And when the appropriate moment suits them, they'll run for Republican office, but they got their name in a Democratic place. These are the games that these people play. I think Bossman talked about how they position their children, how they position their faith. All of this is a faith takeover, but you have to remember this. Let us be fair in our assessment. Just because this is a faith takeover doesn't mean it's all faiths who acting like this. Just because somebody does something in the name of a faith, let us not be so swift to condemn every faith or all people of faith. Yes, bad things happen in the name of it, because it's the best sales pitch. But if you're really people of faith, they don't do the things that are being done. I agree. Something has to come into the picture to pull all of us together. I don't know what that something is. But what I would ask is that all of us be open and welcoming whenever that thing arises, whenever the boat comes, that all of us get on it together, you know what I'm saying, and work out our plan, and each one do their little part. It troubles my soul when we have these conversations and people get their feelings hurt, or it's aggressive, and let us listen to each other. Let us be part of the solution. Let us not be so quick, you know what I'm saying, to be defensive. None of this is personal, because we're all in it together. And let me go sit down, because it ain't even Sunday and I feel like I'm preaching.
All right, we like that little sermonette. Yes. Thank you, Jordan's mom.
Bad, it was getting hot. That's why she stopped.
Navi,
Show your face. Show your face.
Navi, I also want to check on you. Are you okay?
In this moment, yes. I can't speak for what I will be like in 10 minutes from now.
Got it. Okay. All right. Well, at any time, If you have to move around, just know that you can come back up at any time. If there's anything that you need, just let us know, okay?
Greatly appreciated.
Absolutely. Any other thoughts?
Well, Jordan's mom, I was trying to agree with you. We do. I'm a big advocate in my community because your community is the blueprint for what the big thing will look like. It's the little things that you do in your community. It's the things that you do at home that makes an imprint on the national level and overall on the international level. So I was agreeing with you.
I do. I understand. I'm in total agreement with you as well. But I would say this. Again, when we have these conversations, I think you have to be so candid and honest. And I will say this, I do not advocate, for certain things just because of what I have been through. One example is in a prior election, there was a runoff. And I have been doing certain things. I've been doing them for a very long time. So I've kind of moved up a little bit in the process. And I ended up having a county position, where you are just a person of oversight. That's all you do, oversee and make sure nothing crooked goes on. You report it, and that's it. That's your job. I ended up going to being assigned to a county, majority white. When I showed up to the precinct, to the regional office, they called my boss to verify who I was and did they know that I was Black. It was so bad. They was asking me questions. We don't identify ourselves. They give you a number and you go by that number. And before you arrive, days before, they send an email. That email has that number. That's all they use to verify you, that number, because they don't want them to know your name, your political affiliation, nothing. You're just there as an observer. This lady wanted to know my name and she insisted it was because she wanted to make me a badge, but I don't get a badge. No one should know who I am. She pressured me. And so I called my boss and he told her, you know better. That's not how this is done. We had the conversation. Everything went fine. I go home. We had a runoff, which was like 30 days, 60 days later. When I got ready to do my assignment, they gave me a call. We're going to rent you a car and we're going to send you an escort. The escort will follow you there and he will follow you home. Why do you think that was? Because they knew that those people were truly a threat to me. That's the other thing about the process that we don't talk about. How the more involved you become, the more dangerous it is for you in this environment. So we have to be very hesitant in whatever it is that we do. And whatever it is that we do, make sure that other people are aware and that you have a support system and a way to get out.
Well, I'm sorry that happened to you, but in my community and the organizations that I support, they are Black and they are armed. And a big portion of that community, we had to work under in order to get the permissions that we have now. So as one of those people who can sit in a space where there are other people, I have to be cognizant of the invitation that I accept, because these are Black people that are armed. These are Black people who are, we have hunting committees, we have just Black brothers with guns. You know what I'm saying? I won't expose which organizations they are, but I refuse to put them on the forefront of anybody other than who we are, Black folk. So I hadn't transitioned over to the other side yet because I already have a label, if that makes sense. But the main thing is we have a lot to do in our community. There's a lot of trafficking of all sorts. There's a lot of missing pieces of all sorts. And we have to do the underground lead work in our communities. We don't think right as a community, if that makes sense, to why we allow such things to go on. And that's where my heart and soul is at. And that's the angle that I'm speaking from.
Okay, go.
Yes, go ahead, Helkit.
Hell Kid chilling.
Yeah, I
Because
figured.
I don't dispute anything that